The first bulletin of the day on TV3 right here on New Day. And this bulletin is coming to you live from the news app here at Adesawe Kanda. And on DSTV is channel 279. On Facebook is TV3 Ghana. My name is Josh Queen. Top of the stories this are. We bring you reports as Ghana Health Service confirms an Mpox case in Accra and spike in the number of cholera cases across the country. Also coming up this morning, 22 days to the December 7th general elections, and the issue of rejected ballots looms large as stakeholders call for more education to reduce its impact. 40 oil marketing companies part ways with Tanker Owners Union over transparency and accountability concerns. And in sports this morning, Black Stars AFCON 2025 hopes on the line as they face Angola today. We've got details of these and many more coming up in the next 20 minutes if you spend your time with me. Indeed, we are your election command center. Trust your authoritative media house TV3 to bring you credible reportage before, during and after the general elections. And on to our very first story. Party agents monitoring the transfer of parliamentary ballot papers from the various printing houses to the various regional police headquarters have expressed satisfaction with the process. And the Electoral Commission has also begun transporting ballot papers on Thursday, November 14, first with the Greater Accra region.
Where all the parliamentary ballot papers for the Greater Accra region has been transported to from InnoLink, one of the printing houses mandated to be printing ballot papers for the Greater Accra region. It's been a very, very busy day for party agents, some who followed the transportation of the bags in which these ballot papers have been kept in from InnoLink up until the regional police HQ here. When these got here, it was a long day for the agents. They had to inspect the seals to ensure that nobody has tampered with these seals.
Every ballot paper was checked and cross-checked according to the serial numbers per the ranges on the ballot papers. Okay. So clearly we just assisted and joined the EC to recheck, reconfirm and rebag and reseal everything. That is the main work we came here to do.
So after everything is confirmed, we repackage them back into the bag, and then all the political parties put their seal on it, as well as that of the EC.
Now the police are giving us a safe place for its safe keep until it's been transported from here to the respective constituencies.
I don't think that after this anybody can break into it.
We'll speak with the Greater Accra Regional Director of the Electoral Commission, Madam Pinkrap. What has been your assessment of the entire process so far?
Oh, so far everything has been successful. Ballot papers, and we have gotten all the quantities, so we are okay.
So what is happening from here?
From here, we'll leave it maybe up to next week.
Okay.
Then when we receive the presidential ballot papers, to send them to their respective districts.
Okay.
Police command.
There's a lot of work for these agents to do going into the December 7 elections, the checking of these seals after they have been transported from here to the various constituencies, and when they are transported from the constituencies to the various polling stations on election day.
And that was my colleague Noble Crosby, and I'm bringing us the very latest updates from the Electoral Commission. And on Ghana's 2024 elections promised to be one of the most keenly contested in recent memory, with both the ruling and opposition parties locked in a fierce battle that could be very well come down to the wire. Every vote will be crucial in determining the nation's future. However, the issue of rejected ballots looms large as a significant challenge, even threatening the nation's peace during elections.
As the stakes rise, so does the pressure on every single vote. Because in this election, every ballot could tip the scales. But With rejected ballots haunting the process, there's more at risk than just numbers. Director of Communication of Ballot Education Foundation bemoans the worrying trend of rejected ballots.
In spite of the successes we have chalked, right from 1992 to the year 2020, our elections are still characterized by high incidence of rejected ballots. In 1992, we had about 149,000 votes being rejected. In fact, almost all the years, we have them in over hundreds of thousands, which is very, very, very critical for our democracy and for consolidating our democratic processes. So imagine the implications for the nation. If you are going to go into presidential runoffs all over the time, imagine the amount of money that will be spent. So as Ghana's rejected ballots since 1990 shows that an alarming number of voters do not know how to handle the ballot paper and vote the right way.
For him, the impact of rejected ballots could be dire, even jeopardizing the country's peace.
High incidence of rejected ballot creates tensions and anxiety with a tendency to threaten the peace and security of the country. Because one rejected ballot, one sheet that is spoiled and about to be rejected can cause a whole lot of confusion and chaos in this country. All of us have a role to play in order to ensure that this canker is actually eradicated from the system.
Political science professor Ransford Jampo adds that electoral stakeholders should consider what he terms protest voting and address its root causes.
One other major cause of rejected ballot is protest voting. Some people are very much knowledgeable. It isn't that they don't know how to vote, but they have lost confidence in the political elite. So when the ballot paper is presented to them and they look at all those people that have been paraded, they get offended and angered. So such a person, if he or she manages to get into the booth for voting and he is given the ballot paper out of frustration and out of protest, they will decide to thumbprint everywhere. And sometimes it is like you are insulting them, okay? So you thumbprint and to insult. So thumbprint this one, you are not good, you thumbprint. You two, you are bad, you thumbprint. You two, when you had a chance, what did you do? Then you thumbprint. So thumbprinting everybody. And you two, you are not serious. Why are you here? Then you thumbprint.
Well, interesting remarks from Professor Ransford Jampo, who is a political historian. And our flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has promised the people of Kwadaso in the Shanti region of recruiting 5,000 youth from the constituency under the Job and Skills Program. Addressing chiefs, clergy and Muslim clerics, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia appealed to them to vote for him to enable the vision he has for the youth come into fruition. Take a listen.
The traditional leaders, clergy and Muslim clerics welcomed the Vice President and the NPP flag bearer to the constituency. The Chief of Kwadaso, Nanankansa Bwedu, appealed to Ghanaians to vote for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to continue with the development of the country.
Alaji Bawumia, ono kwani Vice President ya wampa Ghana ha, yanya no wase bianka.
Flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, called for massive support from the constituents and promised a digital drive for employment.
Memunuso omohia skills, yeah, the technical and vocational aba. Almost digital skills, and we are seeing now called digital. Who are digital skills are now Ote Kwadaso ha, Ubetime Yejuma, Ewa America, right from here, Ewa Canada, Ewa Singapore, na Ote ha, na Oju dollars, Ewa ha Kwadaso, right from here. Eti Pepese Ghana, Memuno, Yama Omo training in digital skills, maybe.
Later, the Vice President and the NPP flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and the Ashanti Regional Chairman, Bernard Entribu Esiako, took turns to address party faithful at the Bawumia Connect. He was emphatic that the NPP will win the upcoming elections.
I just want to tell you that on the 7th December, we are winning the power. The power belongs to us. The power belongs to us. The winning is in our side. The victory is in your side. The victory is in our side.
The flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, appealed to them to vote for infrastructure development in the country.
Away from the MPP, let's move to the camp of the NDC because its vice presidential candidate, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, has wrapped up her Northeast regional campaign tour with a call on chiefs to add their voices to help preach peace as the elections draw closer. My colleague Evelyn Tingma reports.
Professor Nana Jane's first port of call was at the Nayiri Palace, where she paid a courtesy call on the king of the Mamprigu traditional area, Nayiri Abdullahi Muhammad Shiriga. The king, through a spokesperson, says he was happy to see the running mate and appealed for a split of the Nalerigu and Gambaga as a constituency if the NDC wins power in December.
Walwali constituency and Nalerigu Gambaga constituency, they are very big constituencies, and he would want you to, as soon as possible, when you are sworn in on the 7th, on the 8th, he wants those districts to be partitioned. So on the 8th, you come and tell him that his request has been granted. And also, he would want you to also scan through the people from Northeast. Those you feel will work well with you, don't leave them out.
The vice presidential candidate noted the king's concern and called for peace.
We believe that peace is attainable if we refrain from violence, from insults, from the things that have not helped us in the past, and rather focus on achievements. Why are people contesting? What is their record? What do they plan to do going forward? And we know that your voices go far, and therefore we implore that you also speak the language and help us to speak the language of peace, the language of development, and the language of advancement of our country.
The team then proceeded to Bunkurubu, where they paid a courtesy call on the paramount chief of the Bunkurubu traditional area. There, the Queen Mother was happy that at last a party has chosen a woman to be a running mate and believes women would also have a say in highest decision making in the country.
So we know as you're a woman and you are there, I know women in Ghana will also have a say one day. So our prayers as a Queen Mother, we pray that you will win and you are going to win. And I know when you win, you will never forget about we the women.
The team later held a community engagement.
The MPP has touted themselves that they have constructed 12,000 kilometers of roads. And so I was eager to come and see what percentage of those 12,000 kilometers can be found in the Northeast region, which is the home region of the Vice President who wants to become President of the Republic of Ghana. If Dr. Bawumia doesn't even want to do anything, can't he beg Akufo-Addo that the asphalt road, can you give me small so that my people in Northeast can also see what asphalt looks like? For 8 years, has not constructed a single asphalt road for the people of the Northeast region. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia built castles in the air. He is a rhetorical politician who would talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and use all the verbosity and all the English words, and when it comes to delivering practical promises, there is nothing to show. So I want to assure the people here, and I want to applaud you for your support and your turnout this afternoon. It shows that even in the backyard of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the NDC is enjoying goodwill and great support, and that the NDC will win this seat and several other seats in the Northeastern region here.
Next was at the Yoyo constituency, where Prof and other party leaders charged the people to choose the NDC and vote massively for its flag bearer, John Mahama, and the parliamentary candidates to bring them development. Professor Jane has since ended her Northeast regional campaign tour. Evelyn Tingma, TV3 News, Bunkurubu.
Well, if you just tune in, you're watching the morning news on TV3, the first bulletin of the day, right here on New Day. In more news this morning, as of Wednesday, November 13, 17 districts and 4 regions have so far recorded cases of cholera, with the central region recording the bulk number of cases. Deputy Director of Public Health in charge of disease surveillance at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Dennis Lai, says 16 persons have so far died from the disease, with 85 on admission.
Since the declaration of the cholera outbreak in the Ada East and West districts of the Greater Accra region in October, the disease has spread to the eastern, western and central regions. The central region is reported to have the highest number of cases. So far, 116 cases have been confirmed out of 1,600 suspected cases. The Deputy Director of Public Health in charge of disease surveillance at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Dennis Lai, reiterated the importance of early reporting to health facilities.
There have been 16 deaths, unfortunately, and we've had over 1,600 suspected cases. And at last count, we had 17 districts in the 4 regions. Now, that is not to say that these are the only places where cholera may be. If people haven't reported, for example, to be tested, then we may not know.
He noted that the service has heightened surveillance to contain the spread, but there is a need for the general public to maintain proper hygiene.
So hand washing is a very basic thing to do, but it prevents a lot of diseases. And those things must not go because an outbreak is gone. But we want these things to be habits people take along every time. If you report early, then the likelihood of a better outcome is much, much higher. Diarrhea, vomiting at this time, nobody should stay at home.
Engagements with neighboring countries within the ECOWAS bloc continue as cases surge in the region, calling for a coordinated effort.
Still on health, one more Mpox case has been recorded in the Greater Accra region, bringing the total number of cases in the recent weeks to 3. The Deputy Director of Public Health in charge of disease surveillance at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Dennis Lai, tells TV3 that the identified contacts are currently being monitored.
We had the outbreak in Western North. I think it's been contained. There was one case confirmed in the Greater Accra region. The region has done their investigations. So far, we haven't identified any new case, even amongst the contacts, but we're still following them up to determine if anybody develops symptoms. The case was confirmed last week. It's actually mild. The person is quite very well, and so that has been handled. But as I said, sometimes when you get these cases, you want to be double sure that there aren't others out there that we haven't picked. And so the region is working with the district concerned to make sure that they've been able to follow up all the contacts and nobody has developed symptoms. But once anybody develops symptoms, we will also do the tests. And surveillance system is always active. And so we always look out for these diseases. A lot of people think it's chickenpox, and it's true. Some of the ones we have suspected ourselves as the health system or investigated turned out to be chickenpox and not Mpox. And so it's important that we get to the health facility so that the right test can be done.
In more news this morning, the need for technical expertise in ambulance procurement has been re-emphasized as a critical factor in improving emergency healthcare services in Ghana. This call was made by the Chief Executive Officer of the National Ambulance Service, Professor Ahmed Nuhu Zakaria, during the service's 20th Anniversary Awards and Dinner Night in Accra.
The event brought together key figures in the health sector to reflect on 2 decades of emergency medical service delivery in Ghana. Speaking with journalists, CEO of the National Ambulance Service, Professor Ahmed Nuhu Zakaria assured Ghanaians of their continued commitment to excellence. He asserted that expert input is crucial to ensure the efficient and effective delivery of emergency services to Ghanaians.
The issue about logistics is a challenge that we are working on, and all will have to be related to dedicated source of funding. And so with government, we are trying to see how best that can also improve. And when that happens, it means we have enough resources to be able to resolve all these problems. But moving forward, we should learn lessons that if you want to get involved in any of these processes, it's good to get the technical people involved from day one so that they can guide the process instead of waiting till there are problems and then we'll be doing firefighting.
Minister of Health Dr. Bernard Okoboy reaffirmed government commitment to strengthening the health sector, including expanding and improving emergency medical services.
As we reflect on 2 decades of growth and service, let us remember that this milestone is a stepping stone to even greater achievements. This anniversary is not just a moment to look back. It is an opportunity to set our sights on an ambitious future.
The anniversary celebration underscored the vital role of the National Ambulance Service in emergency healthcare delivery in Ghana and the commitment of both the leadership and government to further improve health services for all citizens.
Away from health, the Association of Private Schools has petitioned the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SRAJ, kicking against government's 30% priority placement system for senior high schools. And the system reserves admissions into Category A schools to some public students from junior high schools. But private schools says it is unfair and undermines equity and meritocracy in the education system.
The policy was targeted towards brilliant but needy pupils from public schools and deprived areas. Government, during the introduction, explained that students from private junior high schools were already getting high access to senior high schools, depriving those from public institutions. The new policy was introduced to preserve 30% of admissions into Category A senior high schools solely for public school students. Private students have since been competing with other public students for the remaining 70% allocation. This has been extremely troubling for the private schools as their JHS graduates are increasingly being restricted to high schools.
You have 2 wives. You must love the children of both wives equally, irrespective of which wife was the first wife or the second wife. The Ministry of Education has 2 wives. Public schools, private schools. So the children of these 2 systems must be equally loved and equally cared for. All we ask for is fairness, equal rights and justice, an end to all forms of discrimination within our education sector.
The groups are demanding an immediate scrap of the 30% allocation, saying it is discriminatory and undermines effort by schools and the students.
The government erects an artificial barrier that discriminates against private school students who, despite their academic merit, are denied equitable access to these schools. We have formally petitioned the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice to investigate the matter thoroughly and determines whether or not the 30% priority placement system is in breach of the 1992 Constitution and immediately sanction the abolition of the 30% priority system in favor of a merit-based admission policy.
In an earlier interview with TV3, the spokesperson of the Education Ministry, Kwesi Kwarteng, explained that the decision for the allocation of 30% of placement slot to public schools was an affirmative action decision. Christian Yale, TV3 News, Accra.
And now let's do some sports. The Black Stars held their final training session in Luanda, Angola on Thursday evening. All 23 players trained ahead of the penultimate 2025 AFCON qualifier against Angola today. Otto Addo and his charge will hope to return to winning ways after losing and joining to Sudan in the previous international break. And Ghana currently sits bottom of Group F, but victory against Angola will send them to the 3rd and within 3 points of potentially booking a ticket to Morocco. The match will kick off at 7 p.m. today. Well, that's how we end the morning news. For more news updates, you'd want to log on to our website at 3news.com. Also, you can download our website or follow us on Instagram, TV3.gh, for more exclusives and updates. And with a new day comes new strength and new thought. If you win the morning, you win the entire day. My name is George Quinn. Thanks for watching. It's always a pleasure coming your way. Good morning.